You can start with a $20 hand float and end up the person delaying $1,000,000 pour because the slab is wrong. At the top, you are trusted with mix timing, finish quality, crew pace, and in some markets or owner roles, 6 figures. Level 1, the mud laborer. You are 19, maybe 23, standing at a gray dawn job site in rubber boots that already leak. The chute swings toward the forms, and the first thing you learn is that concrete does not care how new you are. It keeps coming. You thought this trade was just smoothing sidewalks. Instead, you are dragging hoses, shoveling mud, hauling stakes, oiling forms, raking stone, and trying not to get yelled at by the finisher who has seen 100 rookies quit by lunch. Your first tools are cheap and humbling. Tape measure, magnesium hand float, edger, broom, margin trowel, knee pads that still feel pointless because you do not yet know how many hours your body will spend kneeling on green concrete. You make roughly $15 to $20 an hour, maybe $30,000 to $38,000 a year if work stays steady. It feels decent until rain kills a week, winter slows everything down, and your forearms start throbbing. You also get your first safety speech. Silica dust, wet cement burns, hearing damage, strains from lifting forms and wheelbarrows. Everyone says it fast, like weather. Then you see an older guy rubbing scarred wrists and you realize this is not theory. You wear the hard hat, eye protection, gloves, hearing protection, and dust mask because the lesson sticks better when you have seen a grinder throw a cloud into the morning light. Your biggest mistake is thinking strength matters more than timing. You keep asking, what do I do now, while the answer is written all over the slab. Too wet, too early, too late. The best laborers start noticing the bleed water, the wind, the way the cream rises, the superintendent getting nervous. Once you can read the pour instead of just surviving it, somebody lets you touch the real finish work. Level 2, the apprentice finisher. You are in an actual training path now, formally or informally, and the trade finally becomes a craft instead of punishment. In many apprenticeship systems, you are working through a program that adds up to about 3,600 hours of combined classroom and job site training, often split into 2 big stages. The books talk about placement, curing, formwork, tools, blueprint reading, and work sequencing. The slab teaches the same lesson with more sarcasm. Your mentor hands you the bull float and tells you not to leave ridges. You leave ridges. He hands you the Fresno and tells you to stay off the surface too early. You mark it anyway. You cut control joints crooked with a groover and spend the next hour pretending not to hear jokes about your custom line work. This is a proud trade with a cruel sense of humor, but you are learning the rhythm. Strike off. Bull float, weight, edge, joint, float, trowel, broom or burnish depending on the job. You learn why one slab wants a light broom finish for traction while another wants a steel trowel finish smooth enough to reflect the lights in a warehouse. You learn that curing matters as much as appearance and that a pretty surface that cracks, dusts, or scales is not a win. Your wages start climbing with responsibility. In some apprenticeship structures, you might be around 60% of journey person rate after the first major block, then closer to 90% near the end. The money is better, but the real upgrade is trust. Somebody lets you finish a garage pad, then a sidewalk panel, then a larger section while they watch from 10 feet away pretending not to. You also start seeing the hidden politics of the trade. Framers blame finishers. Finishers blame the mix. The batch plant blames traffic. The weather blames everyone. If you want to move up, you stop whining and start solving. When you can correct a low spot, rework an edge, and keep your cool when the pour gets ugly, you stop being extra hands. You become useful. Level 3, the working finisher. This is the level where your name starts circulating without your boss explaining you first. You can show up to a residential driveway, a pole barn slab, a loading area, or a sidewalk replacement and carry your share without being babysat. The tools around you get heavier and louder. Power trowel, cutoff saw, vibrator, laser level, grinder, chipping hammer, screed board. Sometimes a ride on trowel if the slab is large enough and the crew has the equipment. You make the leap from copying motions to controlling outcomes. You know what happens if the concrete is overworked. You know how a hot windy day steals moisture and shrinks your window. You know why finishing over bleed water is a sin that always sends the bill into the future. You are starting to protect not just the look of the slab, but its durability. Money here can move into roughly the low 40s to upper 40s, and in stronger regions much more with overtime. On prevailing wage or union jobs, the difference becomes real. Nights, Saturdays, travel, and big commercial pours can push a year higher than outsiders expect. They still think you pour sidewalks. You are helping place floors that forklifts will cross for years, ramps that need slope tolerance, and surfaces that can become expensive lawsuits if they fail. This level also hurts. Your shoulders are tighter. Your knees talk back. You miss dinners because concrete sets on its own schedule. A truck shows up late and your whole evening disappears with it. You start carrying a small bottle of ibuprofen like a veteran. Dry humor becomes part of the uniform. Then comes the first moment of real pressure. The foreman points at a section and says, "That one is yours." No rescue, no explanation, just your slab. When you can own the result, the next door opens into specialization. Level 4, the specialty finisher. This is where the trade branches and your reputation get sharper. Some finishers stay residential and become terrifyingly good at stamped patios, colored concrete, exposed aggregate, and decorative overlays. Others go commercial and chase tighter tolerances on warehouses, retail floors, and industrial slabs. Some move into bridge decks, curbs, tilt-up panels, polished concrete prep, or repair work where the old concrete is fighting you before the day even starts. You have favorite tools now, and opinions nobody asked for. Magnesium versus aluminum, resin pads versus metal bond on prep work. What curing compound brand behaves best in summer? Which broom texture satisfies inspectors without looking like you brushed it with a garden rake? This is the point where outsiders hear concrete finisher and imagine one job, while you know there are really several careers hiding inside the same title. The specialist advantage is money and scarcity. Experienced finishers often land around $55,000 to $75,000 a year, and top markets can go above that. The very good ones, especially on difficult commercial work or constant overtime, can flirt with six figures. Not because the trade is easy, but because good finish work is expensive to fake and miserable to repair. Credentials start mattering more here. In Canada, the Red Seal path is a real badge because it signals national standard competence. In the United States, certifications through the American Concrete Institute or structured craft training systems can help separate you from the guy who just bought knee boards and confidence. You do not need every piece of paper to be respected, but you eventually learn that certificates open doors before your work gets a chance to speak. The hard lesson at this level is that being great with a trowel does not automatically make you reliable at scale. Decorative clients change their minds. Commercial superintendents want exact sequencing. Repair work reveals surprises. If you can combine craftsmanship with predictability, you become the person people request by name. That is how you get pulled toward leadership. Level 5, the crew lead. Now you are not just watching the slab, you are watching the whole dance around it. The trucks are stacked wrong. The pump operator wants space. The laborer is overworking the edge. The weather app says one thing and the clouds say another. The inspector is due at noon. The superintendent wants the path open by tomorrow morning. Suddenly your hands are still skilled, but your mouth matters almost as much. You are usually the first one on site and one of the last to leave. You check subgrade prep, forms, reinforcement, embed locations, access, finishing machine fuel, water source, curing materials, and saw cutting plans. You know that one missed item at sunrise becomes a catastrophe by mid-afternoon. This is where you start earning lead pay, maybe mid-20s to 30s per hour, or better depending on market, company, and project type. More importantly, you are trusted with production. The emotional shift is rough. At lower levels, your mistake embarrasses you. At this level, your mistake wastes everyone's day. A bad call on timing can trap a whole crew on a slab that crusts too fast. A missed slope can mean ponding water and a callback that eats the profit. You learn to say no when the concrete is too wet, when the base is wrong, when the mix is not matching the spec, or when somebody wants to place more area than the crew can properly finish. You also become the bridge between old school instinct and newer equipment. A laser-guided screed, automated trowel, or more precise leveling setup can save labor and improve flatness, but only if the operator understands concrete behavior. Technology helps. It does not replace judgment. Machines still need a human who knows when the slab is ready. Once you can lead a pour without panicking, the office starts looking at you differently. You are no longer just a finisher. You are someone who can run work. Level 6, the journey person or certified closer. This level is not always announced with a ceremony, but it feels different. You have the hours. You have the training. Maybe you pass the certification exam. Maybe you earn the Red Seal endorsement, an American Concrete Institute, flatwork finisher credential, or another recognized qualification in your region. However the badge arrives, it means one thing to the people who matter. You are supposed to know. That expectation is heavy. New apprentices copy your habits, including the bad ones. Project managers hand you tougher slabs. Inspectors speak to you like a peer instead of a nuisance. You can read plans, understand specified finish classes, and recognize when the design itself is creating a hard day for the field. The work broadens from flatwork muscle memory into true trade judgment. Money at this level is where the trade becomes quietly impressive. In strong states, provinces, or union books, you can clear over $70,000 with regularity. In busy years with overtime, travel, shutdown schedules, or high-demand specialty work, 6 figures becomes possible. Not guaranteed, not glamorous, but possible enough that people who mock the trade at 25 sometimes call you at 35 asking how to get in. The downside is cumulative. Your elbows have mileage. Your hearing is not what it was. You know which over-the-counter pain reliever works fastest. Family starts asking if you can keep doing this at 50. You ask yourself the same thing on cold mornings when the joints argue before your boots are laced. That question creates the fork in the road. Stay the best hand on the slab, or step into estimating, supervision, or ownership. Level 7, the superintendent of mud. You are now running multiple pours, multiple crews, or a whole division's finishing schedule. The strange thing is that you may touch less concrete while being more responsible for it than ever before. Your phone becomes your main tool. Mixed designs, trucking windows, manpower, inspections, labor overruns, weather delays, callbacks, client drama. You spend the morning on one site, the afternoon solving another site's crack complaint, and the evening revising tomorrow's staffing because 2 people called out and 1 finisher got poached by a competitor. You have become valuable because you can see the cost of a slab before it is poured. Wrong crew size, wrong access, bad sequencing with other trades, impossible finish expectations. You are protecting margin, schedule, and reputation all at once. A great field supervisor in concrete is part craftsperson, part traffic cop, part therapist. This is also the level where you learn that many businesses are not killed by poor finishing. They are killed by poor paperwork, missing change orders, weak contracts, underbid work, callbacks no one documented. You can be a wizard with a power trowel and still lose money if the office side is sloppy. Compensation varies wildly here. Company superintendent pay may sit in a broad range from decent salaried income into very strong compensation with truck allowance, bonuses, or profit share. The bigger jump is that you now understand the business math. You know what a slab really costs per square foot. You know what labor burn looks like. You know why some owners get rich while some talented finishers stay broke. Eventually you stop saying, they should run this place better, because now you know how hard that actually is, and maybe you decide to try anyway. Level 8, the contractor. This is the endgame most people outside the trade never see. You start small, 1 truck, 1 trailer, a couple of finishing machines, saws, forms, a website that looks acceptable from across the room, maybe 2 employees you trust and 1 you are still evaluating every morning. You bid driveways, patios, sidewalks, small commercial pads, repair work, maybe decorative jobs with better margins if you have that background. The money spread becomes brutal and beautiful. 1 month you invoice more than you ever imagined as a laborer. Another month, a bad weather run, a delayed payment, or 1 warranty issue punches you in the throat. Ownership is not a reward for being tough. It is a new game with payroll, insurance, scheduling, equipment financing, worker compensation costs, client collections, and tax deadlines waiting behind every successful pour. But if you survive the first ugly years, the upside is real. A respected concrete contractor with strong finish quality, repeat builders, municipal contacts, or niche specialty work can build a serious living. Some owner-operators simply create a stable local business and pay themselves well. Others grow into crews, multiple foremen, decorative divisions, or commercial packages that push annual revenue high enough to change the family zip code. The person who once ruined a sidewalk panel with a crooked joint is now reviewing bids over coffee and turning down work that does not fit the company. The final lesson is not romantic. You did not escape the slab. You carry it in your body and your standards forever. Every time you walk across a parking lot, store floor, or front porch, your eyes still hunt for chatter marks, scaling, bird baths, bad joints, and broom lines gone crooked. You never really stop finishing concrete. You just stop being the only one holding the trowel. And if you do it long enough, the cheapest tool in the whole story still says the most. That first $20 hand float. At the beginning, it was proof that anyone could buy the tool. At the end, you know the expensive part was never the tool. It was the years of weather, pain, timing, pride, and judgment it took to make a slab look easy.